Good morning, Your Excellency, the Ambassador for the EU delegation in Sri Lanka, Minister of Justice, Honorable Harshana Nanayakkara, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, representatives of civil society, members of the diplomatic corps, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to join you today at the inaugural session of the Electoral Platform and Information Integrity Summit of the Global South. This summit brings together a diverse and committed group of individuals and institutions, policymakers, academics, civil society organizations, media professionals, and technology experts, all drawn from the Global South, to discuss one of the most pressing challenges of our time, the integrity of our democratic processes in the digital era. The rapid expansion of digital platforms has fundamentally changed how we communicate, how we access information, and how we participate in public life. While these changes have created new opportunities for dialogue and inclusion, they have also exposed our societies to serious risks, particularly the spread of disinformation, the erosion of trust in institutions, and the manipulation of public opinion, all fundamental to the strength and the rigor of democratic processes. Her Excellency talked about the fact that often women and the LGBTQI community are targeted within social media platforms, in many of these platforms. And this is something I think we need to acknowledge, because it also shows how it is society's most disempowered or excluded communities who tend to get targeted more on platforms such as these. And this is something that we need to look at, because many of us embraced technology as an equalizer, as something that would promote equality and promote inclusivity. But what we are finding is that many of the prejudices and the biases and the injustices that are within society get replicated and even reproduced within these platforms. And this is, I think, something that we really need to look at, as to how technology can also is influenced deeply by the political and social context within which they are working. As we all know, these are not issues confined to any one country. The impact is global, and in many parts of the Global South, the consequences are particularly acute. Weak regulatory frameworks, limited resources, and socio-political complexities have made our democracies more vulnerable to the misuse of digital tools. In Sri Lanka, we have seen both the potential and the dangers of these platforms. We have witnessed how misinformation can deepen social tensions and undermine democratic values. These experiences underscore the urgency of addressing the issues with clarity, cooperation, and resolve. I am particularly interested by the fact that you have, in your tagline to this conference, you talk about information integrity. And I think this is something we really need to focus on, because this is what is up for question today. How do we actually assess the integrity of the information that we consume? Right? I think this is one of the biggest challenges that we face. And how do we teach people that not all information can be treated equally, that not all information is accurate and true and should be taken at face value? How do we develop the tools, and how do we actually teach people to assess the information that they consume? I think this is one of the biggest challenges, and one that we really need to deal with urgently. Because at the end of the day, it is information that will influence the decisions we make, the opinions we hold. And and we often promote the fact that access to information is one of the most important aspects of a thriving democracy, of a thriving society, and that's true. But in a context where information, the integrity of information becomes questionable, then that the very source or the fundamental principle on which we build our democratic institutions becomes compromised. So the themes of this summit, electoral integrity, information integrity, and platform accountability are therefore extremely timely and essential. Often, we have had the experience of lodging complaints or reaching out to digital platforms about misinformation, about abuse and harassment. One of the responses we tend to get is that the platforms are not developed yet to deal with the diversity of languages on platforms. For instance, in Sri Lanka, much of what happens is in Sinhala and Tamil. But how do platforms then moderate the discussions or whatever happens in these languages when they don't invest in actually making sure that the regulation and the monitoring of these platforms also takes into account the different languages in use. And I don't think we can any longer continue to accept excuses on this behalf, because we all know that platforms make a ton of money out of all of these, right? And then, therefore, so these are not just charitable institutions. These are profit-making large institutions which make a lot of money. And I don't think we can any longer accept excuses that they are still unable to deal with the complexity of the world in which these platforms operate, and the fact that they have to take into account and they have to develop the tools to deal with the diversity of languages that are around in our globe. I mean, they are not doing this, they are not charities, right? So then I think we need to hold them to account for their own regulatory responsibilities as well. So the themes of this summit, in my view, go to the heart of the relationship between technology, democracy, and governance. They call upon us to act, not only to respond to the challenges we face today, but to prepare for what lies ahead. I commend Factum, in particular Oma and Mandana, who've been in regular touch with me about this and made sure that I allocated time for this event, and I'm really happy I did. But I thank you both and the organizers for convening this really important forum. It is encouraging to see leadership emerging from the Global South on these issues, because we are at the receiving end of it. And ours, in many of our countries, we are developing democracies, we are fragile societies dealing with lots of challenges. And I think this is yet adds another level of complexity to the kinds of transformations we are seeking in many of our societies. What we now need is sustained collaboration to exchange knowledge, share effective practices, develop appropriate legal frameworks, and create systems of mutual support. Let this summit be more than a conversation. Let it start the beginning of a broader coalition of actors committed to upholding democratic values in the digital age. A coalition rooted in the principles of transparency, accountability, and inclusion. Sri Lanka is pleased to host this gathering and remains committed to working alongside regional and global partners to strengthen our democratic institutions and safeguard the integrity of public discourse. I wish you a successful and productive summit, and those of you who are visiting Sri Lanka, I hope you have a really pleasant stay, and I really hope that you get to, it's a beautiful hotel, while you enjoy all the amenities offered in this hotel. I really hope that you get some time to step outside and also experience our beautiful country. So welcome, and I wish you all a really wonderful 2 days. Thank you very much.